An introduction to inequalities. The inequality represented by this red arrow here on the number line is x is greater than or equal to 3. The region represented here, and notice the difference between this shaded in circle and this one that's not shaded in, is x is greater than 3. The inequality represented here is x is less than or equal to minus 2, and here x is less than minus 2. The inequality represented here starts from minus 2, ends at 4, but it does not include the minus 2 and it does not include the 4. So we're going to have this x is greater than minus 2. So remember, you're reading that from here first. X, and this open part here is facing the x. So when you read this, it says x is greater than minus 2. It's not x is less than minus 2. That's wrong. And from this side here, x is less than 4. Okay, so x is greater than minus 2 and x is less than 4. So this one here, we've got a minus 5 and we've got a 7. So now we've got x is greater than or equal to minus 5 and x is less than or equal to 7. For this one here, we have minus 9, we have minus 2. X is greater than or equal to minus 9, but x is less than minus 2. That one's shaded in, that one's not. So the minus 2 is not included, but the minus 9 is. Here we're looking at the values between 2 and 6, not including the 2 and not including the 6. So x is more than 2, x is less than 6. Because this is a continuous region, a single continuous region, you cannot write the inequalities like this. What you should say is this. So don't do this. This is correct. And remember, the reason for this is because you have a single continuous region like this, from here to here. In this example, you have two separate regions, unlike the previous example. So x is less than 2, x is greater than 6. So because the two regions are separate, you leave the inequalities like this. So these are correct. Solving linear inequalities. 2x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 5, and these are easy. Most of the rules here are exactly like solving equations. Add 1 to each side. 2x is greater than or equal to 6, divide by 2, so x is greater than or equal to 3. If x is greater than or equal to 3, that also means that 3 is less than or equal to x. If you're solving linear inequalities and you end up with this as your final step in your working out, make sure you rewrite your final answer like this. It should start with x. Adding 2 to both sides to get rid of the minus 2 here, so 4x is less than 2x plus 4. Subtract 2x from each side. 2x is less than 4 dividing by 2. X is less than 2. So what does this actually mean, that x is less than 2 and that's a solution for this inequality here? Well, let's have a look at this graphically. If I have the line y is equal to 4x minus 2, so this side here, and I have the line y is equal to 2x plus 2 this side here. If we have a look at both of these lines on the same graph, what we're saying is that this one here is less than, so it should be below the graph for this one. So when is the red line below the blue line on the graph? Because it says this is less than this. So this is less than, so it's below this one on the graph. Okay, so in red we have y equals 4x minus 2, and in blue we have y equals 2x plus 2. And what we're looking for are the values of x for which 4x minus 2, so the graph of y equals 4x minus 2 is less than, so it's underneath the graph of y equals 2x plus 2. So the red line is below the blue line for values of x which are less than 2. So from this point to the left, the red line is below the blue line. The red line is below the blue line. For this inequality, I'm going to use two separate methods. Okay, first one, if I subtract 5 from both sides, so on the left hand side you've got minus 2x, it's greater than or equal to, and 13 minus 5 gives you 8. And now to get the x by itself, I need to divide both sides by minus 2. And this is a very important thing to remember with inequalities, is that if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to change the direction of the inequality. This only applies to multiplying or dividing by negative numbers, not addition or subtraction. So dividing by minus 2 on both sides, so x is now less than or equal to, and 8 divided by minus 2 will give me minus 4. So that's the solution there. Okay, an alternative method first. So if I add 2x to both sides, that leaves 5 on the left hand side is greater than or equal to, so adding 2x to the right hand side, plus 13. If I now subtract 13 from both sides, so 5 minus 13 gives minus 8, it's greater than or equal to 2x, or 2x is less than or equal to minus 8, and minus 8 is greater than or equal to 2x. Dividing by 2 gives this, and as I said previously, if this is your solution here, you find an answer, it should start with x. So x is less than or equal to minus 4. Exactly the same answer, but this was quicker. Okay, the way to read this one is that 2x plus 1 is greater than 2, and 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 8. And you'll notice that for both of these, I started with what's in the centre, a 2x plus 1. So 2x plus 1 is greater than 2, 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 8. So first step, if I subtract 1 from all three of these, to get rid of that 1 there. So minus 1 here, here, and here. So that gives you 1. That leaves 2x in the centre, and 7 here. Now I want to divide by 2. So divide this by 2, divide this by 2, and divide this by 2. So 1 divided by 2 here, 2x divided by 2 leaves you with x, and here you've got 7 divided by 2, and that is your final answer. You want the x in the centre if you have a question like this to begin with. In this inequality, I'm going to multiply by 2 first to get rid of the fraction, so multiply all 3 of these by 2, so that becomes 6 when multiplied by 2. In the centre we've just got x minus 1, and 5 times 2 gives you 10. Then add 1 to get rid of the minus 1. You need to do that here, here, and here. So you've got this. So x is greater than or equal to 7 and x is less than 11. Which set of values of x satisfies both of these inequalities? And using a number line is a very good method here. So x is more than or equal to 2. So there's 2. So we've got this, starting from and including the 2. And from this inequality, x is more than, so x is greater than or equal to minus 4. So there's the minus 4 here. So I want to include the minus 4. And x is less than 8, but that does not include the 8, so it's all the way up to, but not including 8. So where do these two overlap? Well, as you can see, they overlap in this region. So both include the 2. So I know I can say that x is more than or equal to 2. Now down here, this one includes the 8, this one doesn't. So the region that's common to both would be this. So x is more than or equal to 2 and x is less than 8. So just remember this, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you change the direction of the inequality.